I've always said the most valuable thing a musician can have is a spouse that has a regular job and makes a lot of money. The second most valuable thing a musician can have is a looper pedal. So today we're going to talk about some looper pedal things that you can do to become a looper boss, whether you just have extra time on the weekend, you're devoting towards practice, or maybe there was an election in your country of origin and you're hiding out in a bunker for a while. These are going to be some tips you want to use to really kind of just dominate the looper pedal industry, all right? So, rocking the D'Angelico out today. Basically, we're going to take 3 super simple chords. We're going to do this in the people's key of 2020, which is the key of D major, all right? 3 chords, and then we're going to talk about a multitude of things that you can do over these chords, all right? So I'm going to play a D major 7 to an A7 to a G major 7 to an A7. That's just a fancy way of playing D major, A major, G major, A major. Play it however you want to, but the loop that I'm going to throw down is going to sound like this. Okay, so basically we have that. Now we're going to do a bunch of different things over this, all right? First thing, I want to track the root notes around about where the chords are coming in, right? So again, if we have this loop, there's the D, A, G, A, D, A, G, A, D. Okay, once we have that, let's try to take the octave, the next spot, because we're going to learn a lot of these different notes, where they are, where the root notes are, regardless of if you're playing it slower or an open chord position. 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the E string, back to the 5th fret on the E string. So this is we're going to get more complicated as we go along. But really learn where these 3 root notes are, and then we can do the octave of them. Here, 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 and here. Again, you can usually find an octave, if you know the lower string on the guitar, by going 2 frets higher, 2 strings down. So 5A and 7G are the same thing. So we can kind of track that. Or alright, now finding it in the upper register is probably the most useful thing, but I really think it helps to kind of get the lower part down and then work your way up to the higher stuff, right? So the D on the B string is going to be the 15th fret, okay? It's just like if you played a D major chord here and then ran it all the way past here. So 15B to 14G to 12G back to 14 is the same as D, A, G, A. So we have 3 different ways we can do this. So I'm going to start rifling through a few other things we can do. If you want to keep taking it slow like this, definitely check out my Patreon because I have absolute beginner lessons just lined up from now till eternity. But essentially we're going to go into an arpeggio and then we're going to start using famous songs to kind of just like put over this little loop, right? So I always think that an arpeggio is a great way to kind of glue some of these things together, right? I said we were in the key of D. So I played a D major 7 chord. Looks like this. 5A, 7D, 6G, 7B. Now the arpeggio for that is going to look like this. Right there, okay? That's just playing those notes individually, one at a time, in different positions. So again, the D starts here in the same spot. I kind of like doing this little... the official Sean Daniel arpeggio lick right here, where it's the 5th fret on the A string to 7 to 9. So I have essentially the first 2 notes of that D major, the D to the F sharp. Again, you don't have to know the names of the notes, but it really does help. To that next note in the chord, which is also the root note of the next chord in the progression, which is why it really ties the progression together really nicely. There's the A, so the 7th fret of the D string. So A string, 5, 7, 9, D string, 7, skip to the major 7 of that chord, right? There, and then back down to 7G, right? then now you can go back and forth between that, and then just focus on maybe these notes, and then play them in any order that you want. So this is kind of like a pleasant thing that really gets you in the mode of just running around through those single notes. You can do the exact same thing, but use the arpeggios for the other chords, right? But I don't want to go super far into each of those. That's what the Patreon's for. These are just some ideas that you can use. Now, last but not least, I actually think the most important way that you can use this is to use your ear to play through a shape. Now, the shape that most people learn first is the minor pentatonic shape, all right? In the key of D, it would start off on the 7th fret of the low E string, and it would go 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10, right? Major pentatonic if you just start with your pinky there. You can think of it as B minor pentatonic. It doesn't matter how you think of it. I always think root note first. So I think of myself as being in the B minor pentatonic or the B minor shape. And it's really just taking those notes and then just going up and down and trying to make them speak musically. I think one way to do this is to maybe take super popular songs that you know the melody of really well and try to find them within this loop. Now, the beautiful thing about a simple looping chord progression, especially something like a D, A, G, A, those are just all the major chords. That's a 1, 4, 5 in the key of D. Again, if you don't know what all that means, I can give you one guess as where you could go to find that out. But the single notes we can use are going to work over that, because even though a song may not have those chords as their chord progression, this really outlines the key so well that melodically a million different songs will fit in this loop, okay? So, without me actually saying the name of a lot of these songs, because I'll get demonetized, let's actually see if you can name that tune. I'm just going to play like famous melodies over this chord thing, this one simple chord loop, and then you kind of be the judge. I'm going to do it all in this position of what I see as the B minor pentatonic position. Maybe throw a minor scale note in there. Anyways, here we go, okay? Let it go around one time. Or we can go older. Traditional. We could get really fancy. Something like that. Anyways, you get the idea. You can pretty much shoehorn whatever melody that essentially stays around one key into a loop like that, and it's really easy. I really don't think you need an expensive looper pedal to make something like this work out. I like the MXR Clone looper because it's inexpensive and it's not made of plastic. But again, there's cheaper looper pedals. There's more expensive ones. I also like the Boss RC30 because it has a lot of things. But whatever, you just need to get a looper pedal, and you probably need to sign up for my Patreon or take one of my classes that are on sale because you won't regret it. And best of luck while you're doing this to find a spouse that can finance all of it. So again, if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.